Thank you so much for joining me today. Meeting with you tonight is terrific, and I really appreciate you joining me for this series. I'd like to introduce Jamie Coscia. She's a licensed clinical social worker. She's also a life coach, and she works with Pinnacle Behavioral Health. Jamie, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. So, as you know, the series is focused on women who are making history now. And I know that you're doing a lot of amazing things and things that are really noteworthy and things that I think are pretty inspirational to lots of other women. So, I'm going to ask you a few questions. And I'll start with, how are you making history now? Can you tell me a bit about your professional contribution?
Sure. I am a licensed clinical social worker, like you said, in a group practice. And then I am a life coach. So I'm kind of developing the life coach stuff right now, but I'm also developing some online courses for, anger, anxiety, depression. And I'm really excited about the EFT or the tapping portion of that, because I'm doing workshops with that and want to kind of spread the news with that.
Great.
So yeah, so
you're doing a lot. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
And the chocolate treat business that I started a year ago, which is really interesting because that's sort of been a very fun thing to do and creative thing to do that's helping me stay fresh and sane for the other part of my world.
Yeah. So I bet it's like a nice little reprieve.
And yeah, I found my Dolce because it sort of makes me it connects me, it gives me like a respite, and I find that little creative spark in it. It really is good.
Right. What do you call your chocolate business?
It's Dolce Delights and more.
Okay, terrific. Yeah. And so everything that you said, everything that you're doing sounds amazing, right? So you're doing clinical work, you're doing group work, you're doing tapping or EFT. And I mean, you have your chocolate business, you're working on so much. I feel like most people would understand everything, except they might not understand the EFT part. Can you talk a little bit more about that for you?
Yeah, sure. Emotional freedom technique is the name of it, but people just know it as tapping because you're literally, tapping on your pressure points. But it's changed my life and it's changed a lot of people's lives. Maybe that sounds dramatic, but it's just a really great technique to learn to reduce anxiety, depression. It's even good for addictions, things like that. And it really helps people like clear like negative patterns, like old stuff. And so for me as a practitioner, but I'm also human, obviously I have my own trauma, and for doing it for 6 years, I think 7, might be even 7 or 8 years now, I've been doing it with clients, and so I've been tapping all that time.
Wow.
And even though I'm not tapping on specifically my own things, the way that tapping works is that the client and the therapist it's really kind of nice because it's a symbiotic kind of a healing process.
It sounds absolutely amazing.
So for therapists that, the whole burnout thing, right? So it's a great thing. It's like I'll be in the afternoon when you're really tired and I'm tapping with a client and I'm like, I feel so energetic now because you're clearing, energy.
I love it. That sounds absolutely wonderful and so important just in general, but also right now with, so much that people are dealing with. What's important to you about your work?
Well, I mean, I guess I kind of a little bit just said it, like just helping people clear like negative stories and negative patterns. Like, and really it sounds kind of, it sounds so like Pollyanna, but it's just like to help people feel better. I mean, really help people feel better because it's not all about talking. And as a therapist, it's kind of funny to say that, but it's not about talking all the time. And so learning these other techniques, these energy techniques, these physical techniques, and being able to help people rid themselves of like negative self-talk, negative traumatic patterns, and it be a real game changer. You just get stuck in narratives. You know how that goes. You get stuck in like, well, I was a this, and well, this happened to me, and so I'm a that. And just to see like how people can, rewrite that story.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah. So Jamie, this is going to be the last question I ask you. Can you share a story about how you have made a difference?
Well, there's just so many stories. But
Mhm.
seriously, I guess, the COVID time frame when we first found out about having this happening, and then in our profession, I know for me, I was able to work thankfully online as we're meeting right now.
Yeah.
And I had never done groups online though. I had done telehealth. I had done that before. That wasn't new to me because, you do that in your client, with your clients, but I had never done a group. I had never done a Zoom group. And so I offered actually tapping first for immediate crisis kind of work with people because I just felt like people needed a break from all that was going on. And we did tapping for free. I did it for free on the
Wow.
Zoom, like on Zoom. Never did it before. I'm kind of shy. I didn't really know what to do or how I would feel. And so that kind of led into now, then I was able to launch like my anger and my anxiety groups like weekly on Zoom. So
Wow.
from the EFT tapping groups and then into so now I have a regular groups that I run on Zoom.
That's amazing that like in the middle of this massive traumatic experience for all of us,
Yeah,
that you actually found a way to start a healing process and a way of like connecting and healing for free with people on Zoom. I
yeah.
think that's absolutely phenomenal that you did that, and
Thank you.
hats off to you for giving that, you know.
It was just like a
And
little
so
way of giving back, right?
I totally hear you. And I love the fact that it's transitioned now into you doing your other groups online. I think that's so necessary, right?
And people still want to, people are still at home. Maybe they just can't get in because it's just too far for them to get to your office.
Mhm.
It's just
Right.
timely, and so I have people that I wouldn't ever normally see in the group in my
Yeah.
group.
hmm
Yep.
Absolutely. Terrific. Okay, Jamie, well, I'll put your contact information in the narrative section, but thank you so much for sharing this time with me today. And thank you for making history and doing really terrific things for all of us.
Thank
Have a
you.
great night.
You too.
Bye-bye.